What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Blitz Sports Media. My name is Ryan Lakeletter, and today we are talking about the New Orleans Saints and how this Derek Carr retirement actually is a step in the right direction for this team. Now, we know that Derek Carr suffered a shoulder injury that was ultimately putting his 2025 season in doubt. Now, many of us were surprised to find that Derek Carr is unable to throw a football nowadays and was forced into retirement. Derek Carr kind of is like the Saints summed up post Drew Brees era. They brought in veterans who weren't necessarily at the peaks of their careers or were at the tops of their position, signed them to pretty big contracts, and the Saints now have been stuck in a similar position for multiple seasons now. I've seen 9-8 seasons, I've seen 8-9 seasons, I've seen 7-10 seasons from the Saints team, and worse. Obviously, this last season was a little bit worse due to injuries to some of their veterans on this roster. But the Saints' MO over the past few seasons since Drew Brees is keep that window open as long as possible, defer the money down the stretch, keep adding veteran pieces because we think we have a chance in a pretty weak division. And ultimately, they wind up with the same type of talent every single year and the same type of results. That's the definition of insanity, guys. So we need to find a way for this New Orleans Saints team to move into the future. And I believe this Derek Carr retirement kind of forces their hand into the youth movement for the New Orleans Saints that is starting with this draft class and obviously the retirement from Derek Carr. So let's talk about this draft class right here and how this unit can, help these guys out. We have Kelvin Banks Jr. in the first round. Banks Jr. is an absolute monster at the tackle position. Ryan Ramczyk retired, and Banks can bring a lot of stability on the offensive line. Whether he winds up playing right or left tackle for this team, it's to be determined, but Banks is going to be a really good player. One of my top 10 prospects heading into the draft. He's very good against the run. Still needs to develop a little bit against the pass, but his production at Texas is something we can't ignore. Very good there. Tyler Shough, incredible player in terms of just production at Louisville. He had very good numbers throughout his career there, but ultimately, he's a very hit or miss player. They are throwing all their eggs in the basket of Tyler Shough and saying, hey, Tyler, you're our guy. We drafted you with a 40th overall pick. We picked you over a talent that's probably better than Shadur Sanders and some other players because we believe in the character yourself. You need to figure out some of your problems. And he does come with problems. He struggles with processing defenses. He leaves the pocket too early, does not identify pressure well, and he doesn't necessarily have the competition as some of these other blue chip prospects that we've seen coming out in the past few seasons, plus the age. He's definitely pro ready. I mean, he has to be at his current age. He was in college for 7-8 years. So I think Shough is the Saints' first year option this year, 40th overall investment, and he is going to be the guy for the New Orleans Saints and Kellen Moore's guy until they figure out how he performs this year. And maybe even Spencer Rattler gets the opening day start. He was not very good last year, but I think Shough is going to be their guy all of 2025. Outside of that, though, I really like some of the other additions in the draft, like Jonas Sanker, adding a younger safety to counteract what this New Orleans Saints team has, which is veterans on the defensive side of the ball. I think Quincy Riley is a sneaky pick in the fourth round as well. Louisville corner, former teammate of Tyler Shough, really, really fast, twitchy outside corner. I think he can produce well in terms of the NFL. And then Devin Neal in the sixth round really feels like a steal. Neal had incredible production during his career in Kansas. Really felt like he was a fourth round, fifth round pick. Wound up falling to the Saints in the sixth round, can learn from Alvin Kamara, and eventually pass the torch there. So the Saints went in and brought a ton of talent in terms of this draft class. I liked what they overall brought in. And the Tyler Shough pick makes a ton of sense. We knew they needed a quarterback, and they wound up getting their quarterback of the future in Tyler Shough. What this youth movement suggests, obviously you have to draft players, but getting a franchise cornerstone at tackle, getting a franchise cornerstone potentially at quarterback, and then adding in some other pieces of depth at other positions is key for a New Orleans Saints team that has invested so heavily in veterans and free agency. We're going to take a look at these guys right here. We have players that they brought in this past season. We got Justin Reed coming in from Kansas City to the Saints, which is an ultimate Saints move, bringing in a veteran player from the Chiefs, paying him to a multi-year deal, probably, a little bit too late in their career. Not necessarily the move I like. They paid Juwan Johnson a 3-year, $10 million deal with $21 million in guarantees. Did not love that move as well. Tyrann Mathieu re-signed a 1-year, $4 million contract as well. And then you have other players mixed in there like Brandon Cooks, another veteran type player. There's no necessarily youth movement in terms of this free agent class that they brought in. And that was the biggest concern for me, is that needs to change. And you look at the 2026 Saints cap space and other stuff, the Saints are 42 million in debt next season. But what's awesome about that is that the year after that, they are plus 120 million in cap space. They can start cutting these veterans that are towards the end of their careers and ultimately starting to go into this youth movement. This is not a 1 year process for the New Orleans Saints. And to be honest, this team had the most bleak outlook heading into the season with their current contract situation and a lot of uncertainty at quarterback. With Derek Carr's retirement, it just sped up the process a little bit, which ultimately helps the Saints. I think Tyler Shough getting a chance at quarterback with the draft capital they invested right away with this roster gives him a chance to be good. He has talent like Chris Olave on the team, Alvin Kamara on the team, which could benefit him long term as well, while also them not being super competitive with the roster they have probably suggests they're going to be picking at the top half of the draft next year, cycling in those players. I think Kellen Moore as a head coach could be really solid, and he could prove to elevate the talent around him on the offensive level, which is something that a youth and young quarterback wants to see. So I think from that perspective, it's very good in New Orleans, but ultimately this is going to be up to the management. Are they going to continue to overpay veterans at the back end of their careers? Are they going to let these guys walk, or they're going to keep deferring money? This is the time with the Derek Carr retirement that they need to start moving on from the older players, heading with the younger players, and starting this trend, because whatever the New Orleans Saints have been doing the last few seasons, it has not worked. And this Derek Carr retirement is a perfect sign of a new era for the New Orleans Saints. Let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think these Saints should be doing going forward. Hit that subscribe button for more Blitz Sports Media content, and I will catch you guys next time.